Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Michael, and as always, we're going to be getting into some more stories. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new, I'd appreciate if you subscribed. Without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the relationship subreddit. The post is titled, "My wife found out that my mother and I have been lying to her about my wife and I's baby for months. This all went down about an hour ago, and my wife is still crying in our bathroom with the door locked. Backstory: we had our son, now 11 months old, while my wife was in residency. She took a few weeks off before giving birth and then went back to work a few months after, while I transitioned my hours to part-time so that I could stay home and raise our son. My mom moved in with us shortly after the birth in order to help out, which allows me to get in a few hours of work per day and not get swamped with taking care of the baby and housework. She's quite old-fashioned and would definitely not prefer this arrangement, with me being a stay-at-home dad, but she hasn't said anything to either of us and has been a great help. For anyone unfamiliar with medical residency, it is brutal. My wife has just over a year left. Sometimes she comes and goes for 1 to 3 days, and our son is asleep the whole time she's home, which has been happening more as his sleep schedule has shifted to sleeping through the night. My mom and I make sure that when she's home and the baby is awake, my wife gets him 100%. I know it's been hard on her, but unfortunately, it's going to be this way for another year. The first big milestone she missed was him rolling over. When she got home, my mom pulled her over to the baby all excited. I thought she was going to tell her, but instead she said, "Julie, you came home right on time. He's been moving as if he's about to roll over." They both stood there encouraging him, and right on cue, he rolled. My wife was elated. She had been so worried and guilty about not being there, and she took it as proof that she could still be a present mother while working. So we continued. I send texts about little things she misses throughout the day so that it's not completely unbelievable, but my wife has been present for every single big milestone. He coincidentally started crawling with her right there. His first words were in front of her, and he began standing, cruising, and walking when she happened to be home. The walking one was difficult. There was a tough 7-day stretch where she just wasn't home during the daytime when he was awake, and his walking went from teetering to taking a couple of steps pretty confidently in that time. We put little beanbags in one of his pants pockets so he'd be wobbly and unbalanced, and it looked believable since he fell after the first step like he was doing a week ago. Yes, it was mean to our poor son, but my wife's face was worth it. Today, it all unraveled. So far, he can just say mama, dada, and nana. Yesterday, he started saying bye-bye. My wife has today off and has been home all morning. My mom and I have been trying to get him to say bye all day without giving it away that we already knew he could say it. We successfully got him to say bye to the ducks at the park, and we both gushed over his newest word the whole way home. My wife was using my phone to take pictures of him and began showing them to my mom at home while telling her about his newest word. She was swiping through my gallery and saw a video from yesterday and said, "Oh, you never sent me this one." It was like watching a slow motion film play out in front of my eyes. I had taken the video of him yesterday waving bye-bye. My wife isn't an idiot. She figured the whole ruse out almost instantly. I have never seen her look so upset and heartbroken before. I couldn't say or do anything to comfort her. Now she's locked herself in the bathroom crying and won't come out. I'm sitting on our bed hoping someone can please tell me what to do to make this better. Update. After I wrote the original post, my mom took my son to stay overnight with my wife's sister so that the two of us could have the house to ourselves. We pretty much just talked for an hour while constantly reaffirming that we love each other and want to sort this out. I apologized and explained why I did what I did. She said that feeling like she was there for our son's milestones was really just a band-aid solution that didn't actually convince her she was present. She added that if she had truly been using those milestones to feel present, this probably would have felt even worse. But since she wasn't, in her words, deluding herself into thinking she's actually home, her main issue was that I lied, which hurt her feelings. I apologized and explained that I honestly thought she would prefer the lie if given the choice. She said she understood where I was coming from and that she felt betrayed when she realized, but she sees that I was doing it because I love her. She thinks we'll probably laugh about it with our grandkids one day. Yes, I am very aware I don't deserve my wife. Some things came up on my end that I hadn't planned to tell her and didn't mention in my last post, namely that I'm scared she might become single. My uncle died when I was a child, partly due to working in a high-stress job where he made a huge and costly mistake. One of my wife's colleagues also attempted suicide while she was on maternity leave. Being a working mom is hard enough, and being a resident in this program is hard enough. Both combined can be a recipe for trouble. Since our son was born and the incident with her colleague happened, I've been afraid that if her home life wasn't perfect, it might push her over the edge. Anyway, she reassured me that that isn't happening, and I think saying it out loud also made me realize it's a pretty irrational, groundless fear. We ordered takeout and sat together watching the real videos I have of all our son's firsts. I also have a special folder of pictures and videos of my son with my wife, so we went through that afterward. She almost choked from laughing so hard when I tentatively revealed the beanbag trick. I am now the laughingstock of her friend group chat, so I guess we're already at the stage where we can laugh about it. Yet again, a super wholesome story. It's unfortunate to miss out on these major milestones in your child's life, but there's nothing you can do about it. This elaborate plan of staging the events was really thoughtful, but I do think it was unnecessary. At worst, it's just a funny story that the entire family can look back on years down the line. This next story was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Active Storage. The post is titled, "I asked my sister-in-law what she's doing with her degree after she implied my university wasn't prestigious enough." Last night, my husband, our 2-year-old daughter, and I were at my in-laws. My sil, her husband, and their kids were there too. The topic of one of their cousin's kids going to university came up, and we talked about how attending a good university helps with networking. I mentioned how I had gotten my first business analyst job because my interviewer had also gone to U of T. At that point, my sil chimed in with U of T Mississauga, right? So not the actual one. My husband said politely that it's the same thing, and she just shrugged. I asked her where she went, and she said she went to U of T and added that it was the St. George campus. I then asked how she was using her degree. I knew she's a stay-at-home mom, so that's why I said it. That might have been a jerk thing to say. She said she chose to be a stay-at-home mom and then kind of stopped talking to me. My husband thinks I was out of line. Admittedly, I didn't think it through when I said it. I just said what came to mind. He says her question was tactless but not malicious. I said it was rude and that's what mattered, and that the premise of it was just wrong, but I have been reconsidering it. She has texted him about how out of line I was, and he told her it was a misunderstanding between everyone and to let it go. Update. I was heartened by all the not the jerk votes. I read a lot of the comments and really appreciated those saying I wasn't the instigator, so I was in the clear. As I read more comments and saw the way my sil was being mentioned, it made me feel bad. I don't blame the commenters. They were only going by the context I had provided, but the fact that my sil was being heavily criticized made me uneasy, and I took that as a cue to mend the relationship. She isn't a bad person, we aren't best friends, but we have always been cordial to each other. The not the jerk verdict gave me peace of mind that my reply wasn't totally uncalled for. So I asked my husband if she was still messaging him. He said she had just sent a final wall of text about how hurt she was and then went quiet. I asked him what he thought, and he said he had told her that her remark was thoughtless, but also told me that there are levels to this. My reply really hurt her. I told him I was willing to apologize if she did too. Last night, I got a call from her. She said that she had realized her comment about UTM had come across as insulting, and that was not her intention. She said she was really proud of me, my career, and the way I juggle it with being a mother, and she apologized for her remark. I thanked her and said my comment about her degree was out of line, that she's an awesome mother, and my remark had zero thought behind it. It was just me saying whatever I could in the moment. She broke down a bit, and that honestly made me feel terrible. I teared up too, and we agreed to put this behind us. Like I mentioned in my original post, my reply was instinctive. I don't think she's wasting her degree, and I hope her comment was equally thoughtless rather than intentional, but I'm glad I patched things up with her. This entire story was just petty on top of petty. I have also been in situations where someone boasts a little too much, but I always refrain from making a comment. The reason is that after a few days, you realize the interaction would have been entirely pointless. In a worst case scenario, you might completely ruin a relationship, which almost happened here. Sometimes acting will put you in a worse position than if you had simply remained silent, but I'm happy to hear the two were able to reconcile in the end.